What's going on, everyone? So the Lakers have a very big dilemma with D'Angelo Russell, and they don't really have a lot of control or say, right? It's kind of all in D'Angelo Russell's hands. I mean, that's why he did what he did and signed the contract that he did. He even talked about how, he likes that he kind of has this control. He can kind of dictate where he wants to go. How does he want to approach it? Does he opt in? Does he leave for nothing? Right? And the Lakers have a couple options that they can explore. One is they just let him go, kind of free up the full mid-level exception. Thing is that one, hard caps him, which chances are Lakers are probably going to be hard capped no matter what they do, because they want to go and get another star, things like that. So see how that all progresses. So I don't think that's that big of a deal. But the big question is, what can you get with that exception, right? Can you get somebody that is a comparable replacement for D'Angelo Russell, right? Because if you can't, it's like, now you lost him for nothing. Another option would be to kind of give him an inflated contract. That's something that has been kind of thrown out there that the Lakers may look to kind of, hey, here's team's offering you 20 million, we'll give you 25 million, and then now we can kind of look to maybe move you later on down the road, but you get a bag. And the big question, though, ultimately comes down to D'Angelo Russell's market, right? Because that's the big thing. If D'Angelo Russell, it's just the Lakers and that's it, well, then D'Lo doesn't really have any power. D'Lo doesn't really have much say, right? But if he is like, oh, you got Orlando and you got San Antonio and you got all these teams, Brooklyn, and you got 10 teams that are interested in D'Angelo Russell, well, now that just lessens the Lakers' kind of control over the situation, right? Well, we got a little update that obviously we know Orlando is really interested in D'Angelo Russell, right? Keep getting reports, you keep hearing that he is somebody that they really want. There's even talks around the trade deadline. But beyond that, right now, it looks like there is no other suitors. San Antonio was a team that was rumored and speculated to potentially want him. Looks like they might either go like the Chris Paul route, or they're just going to go the young route, that they don't really see D'Lo as the guy that they want for the foundation for the future, right? There was talks that the Spurs may be interested in kind of like that middle ground guy, right? Maybe go get, like a Castle or whatever, go get your forward, and then like have like a D'Lo for a couple years to kind of just have a guy that Victor can get, or can get Victor the basketball, but he's not like the long-term solution, just kind of like, hey, until we find that guy, whether it's through trade or free agency or, the draft, whatever they end up doing. That was kind of the thought process, but now it looks like they might actually go a different direction, that they're not really quite interested in that. Brooklyn was heavily interested. There was even a report that came out, I think it was like 2 days ago now, time of recording this video, that said that the Brooklyn Nets were extremely close for trading for D'Angelo Russell, that it was going to be a 3-team trade where the Lakers would have landed DeJounte Murray, the Brooklyn Nets would have landed D'Angelo Russell. They were a team that we talked about here on the channel because Brooklyn really liked the idea of D'Angelo Russell, and Atlanta at the time didn't want D'Lo because they were planning on keeping Trey and wanted to kind of use Trey as like their building block for the future, but now things have changed. So there's also talks that maybe Atlanta would be more open to taking on a D'Lo if it was like something where they gave him kind of this 1-year deal, or if he opted in, because he'd be an expiring contract, right? And Atlanta wants to clear money off their books now. On top of clearing money off their books, now they're looking to move Trey. So if you could work something like that out, teams might be more interested. But if Orlando really is the only suitor, couple things, right? One, how much is Orlando willing to give D'Lo? Now, again, D'Lo, I would imagine, wants years, right? So even if Orlando's like, hey, we'll give you 15 million, but we'll give you 4 years, 60 million, right? So it breaks down to 15 million a year, right? I could see him maybe opting out of that 18, I think it's like 18 and a half, 18.7 million, and going to a team like Orlando, just because it's like, okay, yeah, it's 3.5 million less than what I'm making, or if I opted in, but I have 3 more years on top of that for just contract, right? Now, if it's something where it's like, hey, we'll give you 4 years, 40 million, then I think I could see him opting in, because at that point it's like, yes, I'd be getting the years, but if I opt in with the Lakers, I basically get 2 years worth of that money. and then I could just go sign a contract like that elsewhere, right? So I do think it just depends on if Orlando's the only team, that's huge for the Lakers, right? Because now the Lakers kind of have a couple leverage points. One, obviously they could work out some type of trade where it's like, hey, because Orlando wants other guys, right? D'Lo isn't like at the top of their list, but D'Lo's definitely a guy that they'd be interested in. Now, if Orlando, let's say, because Klay Thompson is an example, right? They're interested in Klay. So we'll use him as an example. If, let's say they want to sign Klay, they have, I think it's like 19 million, 19 and a half million. Let's just round up, call it 20 million, right? They could look and go, okay, we could steal Klay for 20 million, right? Like, boom. But we still kind of like the idea of D'Angelo Russell, right? So what we could do is we could sign Klay and then talk to the Lakers and work out some type of trade with the Lakers, maybe have D'Lo opt in for a year, and then we can work out his contract, and work on, give him a new one in the offseason, but get him to opt in, and then we can kind of clear some of this logjam, maybe get rid of a couple guys, kind of restructure the roster, bring in Klay, bring in D'Lo, Lakers get some pieces, and it's kind of a win-win for everybody, right? So the idea that, like, why would Orlando, because I see a lot of that, like, why would Orlando trade for D'Lo when they could just sign him? Well, it's because Orlando wants other pieces. Orlando wants other players, right? Like, they want D'Lo, but he's not like the only guy that they're hoping to get. They really want to upgrade the roster. They were just in the playoffs. They want to be a team in the conference finals winning a championship, right? So they want to get guys shooting, playmaking, things like that. So if they can get a guy or two and then go and trade for D'Lo, right, then that's the best of all worlds for Orlando. And Orlando, they're kind of getting to the point where they're going to have to start making decisions on guys, right? Like, they got to start paying these guys, right? And you have, like, kind of your core guys that are already taking a bulk of money. You need to kind of, at some point, I'm not saying they have to do it to the Lakers. I'm not saying that they have to do it for D'Lo, but at some point, you got to imagine they're going to kind of clear the deck a little bit. They've already done that in a couple ways, right? So they're going to have to do another wave of that coming up. And they're going to have to make some decisions on various players, free agents and stuff like that, this upcoming offseason. But, ideally, in a perfect world, D'Lo just opts in for the Lakers, right? Because one, it gives the Lakers the opportunity to trade him later on down the road or package him in a deal to where maybe you could keep a Rui, right? Maybe you don't have to give up Rui. Maybe you could trade a D'Lo in a Reeves for Trey or whatever, or whoever they end up ultimately landing, right? And secondly, he's also would be an expiring contract. We've seen in the past, teams value that because they have contracts and they have salary that they want to move off of or they want to go a different direction. And it's like, we could kind of take on D'Lo and kind of reset the deck here a little bit, right? We kind of clear some stuff up and then now kind of hit the reset button the following year, right? And so if you're the Lakers are going to be a cap team regardless, right? Because they're also going to go get that other star. They're going to attempt to get that other star. Even if they don't, they're going to get some other pieces. They're already an apron team. So they're whoever they end up getting this offseason, it's why I keep expressing and saying, like, they got to get this right. They cannot afford to drop the ball on whoever they acquire, right? Because if they don't, like, whoever they get, that's probably your team for the next few years, right? Because they're going to end up trading all their picks and everything like that, and they're not going to have a bunch of salary to go and sign other guys and do all this stuff, right? So, if you can flip D'Lo at the trade deadline into a guy or two that, maybe he has a little longer salary, it doesn't matter because you're in a position where, hey, this guy's probably going to be with us for 2 or 3 years anyway. So I don't care that he has a 3-year contract, right? Because we need that. So I think it just depends on that. But the best world, D'Lo opts in because it gives the Lakers the control. It gives the Lakers the decision to make. And maybe you keep him, right? Like, let's say if you went and got a Trey, I'm not really too sold on that. But, like, what if you got, like, a DeJounte Murray? Right? And you got some, like, real athleticism, and if he can get back to being that all-defensive guy, pair him with D'Lo. Like, now D'Lo, he's not your third guy, he's your fourth guy. And if he has a season like he did in the regular season this season, next season, him, DeJounte Murray, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis would say Jared Vanderbilt at the 3? Like, that would be ridiculous, right? Like, because, I mean, the dude shot the lights out, giving you 17 a game, like, super efficient, right? He's a guy that can make plays. And so, like, if DeJounte's on the bench or LeBron's on the bench, he's a guy that can handle the offense and operate the offense. He's actually best at that, right? That's when he thrived the most. It's not a coincidence that whenever LeBron didn't play, D'Lo had his best games, right? Like, he had his career high and all that stuff, like, because that's his role. He's best with being on ball, but he is very good playing off ball and being that shooting threat. So you could have him and keep him around. And now when you get to the playoffs, one, there's not as much pressure because he's now the 4th guy. And 2, if he does have a bad game, right, it's not as impactful. Right? So if he does, have a game where he has 5 points, it's not as impactful because, again, he's our 4th guy. So again, sticking with DeJounte Murray, LeBron and AD do LeBron and AD things. Say DeJounte Murray chips in with 20, right? Like, whatever you're getting from D'Lo is just kind of the icing on the cake at that point, right? You're just trying to collectively get another 20 to 25 points, right? Like, that's the idea, right? But the games that D'Lo does go off, and he does have that game where he's 7 of 9 from 3 or whatever, you probably are never losing those games ever, right? So again, it puts the Lakers in the driving seat is the point. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of, like, hey, if you keep D'Lo, cool. Like, love to keep him, especially if he's your 4th guy. Think, no, you got to get D'Lo off the team regardless. Think D'Lo walks. Do you want to work out some trade? Whatever it is, however you feel, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. If you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.